Hello, welcome back to my plot on a beautiful March afternoon. March? Can't believe it's so late in the year and I've done so little. In my head I've done so little. I'm probably not as behind as I think I am. I probably say this every single year. Oh my goodness, I'm so far behind. I mean, you know, the ground, here's my lovely allotment here. The ground's pretty much prepared. There's not a lot growing in it. I have got a few bits. I've got some lovely onions down here. Now these onions I put in last year. These are all growing. I'm not overly impressed with it actually. I put these first ones that I've ever overwintered, and as you can see, not spectacular. You know, some of them have not made it, some of them have. So there's a few of those growing away. I've also got me garlic in the ground, which is these little devils here. These ones looking a little bit better, I'll be honest with you. They look beautiful, coming along quite nicely. They yellow off a bit at this time of year. It's perfectly normal. They will get growing again very soon. So there we go. Greenhouses are pretty much as they were last year, still a bit of a mess. That's one job I need to sort out. And this is the other greenhouse here. You can see I've got some, you know what I mean? I was just talking about the onions that I've got in that bed way over yonder. And I've got these onions here, which I've put in just this spring. And these ones seem to be doing a lot better. So, you know, I'm not overly impressed with the overwintering of them. Got some garlic at the back there as well, that needs to go out. Got a kind of growing collection of potted plants down here as well. I've got a collection of acers here. I mentioned to somebody very special that I like acers, and then 4 of them turned up in the post, so thank you. Obviously they're not a vegetable, they're just like a beautiful little Japanese decorative plant, so I'll find a little space for those. Got me 5 blueberry bushes, they're growing away. I've got a couple of rose bushes here as well. They've been sat in pots since last November I think, and there's a grapevine. I heard it through the grapevine that you can grow grapes, so you know I'm going to give them a go. I've got to try and find the right location for them though, because outdoors probably won't do too well, but indoors in such a thing as a greenhouse like this, they'll do a lot better. Anyway, a bit of a waffle. Other than that, as I look out across the plot, not a lot happening. My asparagus bed here, that's not woken up yet. They are some globy artichokes. These ones just starting to pop up are delphiniums. They're starting to grow from last year. A few herbs, that's thyme in there, and the sort of ratty one towards the front here, that's mint. And then at the back we've got some chives. There's one lonely leek as well left here from last year. One last year's lonely leek. Bit of a mouthful. But yeah, that's that growing away, so I might try and harvest that one, see what happens. But really, I'm down here at the minute, I'm a little bit like, I've got so much to do. What shall I do? Shall I do absolutely nothing? Probably, yes. Other little acquisitions at the minute. I've got myself some more 2 black currants and 2 red currants. I saw those and I thought, you know what, they'd be absolutely lovely for the plot. You know, and in the absence of actually doing any hard work, I'm going shopping. The other things that I picked up, these are reduced for some reason, second earlies. These are mouse pear, and also got some Nicholas. I thought £1 a bag, even if I don't need them, you know, I can have those. You see they've started to chit out already. And on the subject of chitting as well, I've got me other potatoes. Now, chitting, do you need to chit? Chitting a potato is just doing this exactly, sitting it out in the sunlight, somewhere cool, so that it can grow these things. These are chits. Now, each chit that grows will become a potato plant. So, I mean, this one here, that's got 3 fairly decent chits on it. So that can go in the hole on its own. That'll grow 3 potato plants, which is about right. That's what you want in one spot. If you get a smaller amount of chits, obviously you can double up on them. Don't know if I'm making sense there. But at the minute they're sort of growing away. These are in egg cartons, and I didn't have any egg cartons for these, so I've just put some vermiculite in in a tray here and sort of pop that in, keep them dry, keep them stable. They're not chitting as well, but you know, they are coming to life. You'll see. It's all ears. Or is it eyes? What do potatoes have? I think too much is what I do. So first job anyway, I'm going to clear these bits out of the greenhouse. I'm going to get them garlics out with the other garlics. Might even get the onions out with the other onions. It's going to be amazing. Woo! Oh, right, so what I've done here with these garlic is the ones that were already in the ground, I planted those directly out last year. It was about October time, I think. These ones I bought and I've put into these cells. I think I did that back end of January. You might be able to tell me better. And as you can see, these guys have grown away. Being in the warmer climate inside the greenhouse, they've really sort of shot away. So when I stick them outside, you know, they're already got the roots down, got the leaves up, and they're ready to rocket and roll. The problems that you can get trying to sow this time of year, if you have a really warm summer, you won't get a cold spell. That won't split up your garlic, so it'll still grow, but you get one big round chunk of garlic rather than lots of different cloves. You know, it's still worth a go. Have a look at these, because I've noticed at the front there's this guy here. He's not well at all, so I'm not going to stick him in my soil. Do you see that sort of bluey, greeny, mouldy stuff? You know, I mean, he's come up, but he's obviously developed that and he's gone a bit floppy, so it's not even worth trying. Don't, you know, you only get good crops from good plants. Right, but the other ones, they all seem to have come away quite well. Once they've started to grow, the bulb will go soft, so it's not like when you're planting a new one where you need to not have a soft bulb, because these ones will. They've thrown all their energy into growing, so that'll sort of, you know, use them up a little bit. But they will swell back up again, hopefully. Right, so these ones are looking pretty good now. I've had a couple of them fail, but hey, these things happen. What I've done, I've just got a plank of wood down here. It gives me a bit of a straight edge. I'm going to plant these guys probably about 6 inches apart, which, what, about that much. So here we go, here's my little plant that I've ended up with. It's probably been in the pot a little bit too long. I wouldn't say pot bound, but certainly those roots are definitely ready to start exploring and getting some nutrients. And there's my little garlic plant, so I'm just going to plant those in. I can go a little bit deeper. The garlic clove needs to be 1 clove depth underground, so if that's your clove, then do it the same depth underground. And that's a bit of the compost falling off, so I better hurry up before these guys get completely ruined. Ooh. And there we go, there's a little row of garlic out there, like little soldiers standing there ready to grow away. Hopefully these guys will catch up and we'll get enough of a frost that we'll get some nice garlic off of that. You can still eat it if it doesn't split, you just end up with a heck of a lot of garlic. I think anyone can eat one entire bulb in one sitting. Oh, lost my tripod in the mud. Right, what should we do next? Let's put some onions out, Now, with my onions, I find it quite important to rotate them. That doesn't mean spin them around on the spot, that means plant them in a different place every year. You've got things like white rot and things like that that you want to prevent. So if you keep planting in the same year over and over again, it can you know, cause problems to stay in the soil. If you keep moving things around, you've got less chance of it. So I've got to try and choose a bed down here that I've not already used. Come on, I'm waiting for advice here. Which one? I'm only playing. I'm sure a lot of you will know the difference here, but we've got some onions, which is these guys here. We've got some shallots, which are these guys. They're the same onions, and then some red onions there. Now, the onion sets, as you can see, are tiny little baby onions. Now, what we do with those is we plant them, and then they grow and swell up and turn into onions, bigger ones like what you'd usually see. Shallots, what they will do, as you see all these different stems coming out of them, each one of these groups of stems will become a separate shallot. So that thing will burst, and you can almost tell how many shallots you're going to get out of them at this early stage, if you can count those little groupings of leaves that are coming out of them. So that's always quite fun, and you can see that one there. See very distinctly the separate shoots that are coming out. So then they'll grow, swell, and you'll get a group of like 4 or 5 shallots like that one. So yes, that's all very good and funky. What else have we got in here? Forgot what I've done. Snapdragons, they've come up. Antirrhinums, they've not come up, probably a bit cold. Petunias. And then this lot here, this is, I put it in as my winter crops, something to munch on, a bit of spinach and all the rest of it. They'll probably be pretty much for the bin now because they're starting to go to seed. Obviously still nice and edible, as you can see there, lovely green spinach leaves. The lettuces have started to go a little bit. What was that? That's rocket. Once they start to get these big long tall shoots in the middle of them, that's them going to seed and they'll turn quite bitter. It's the same with this one at the back here, you can see it's actually gone completely to flower. So those plants won't taste so good. But you know, as a little overwinter, you know, they were quite nice. I've got some spring onions there as well, which I'm probably going to chop off and eat as chives and grow some more. Oh, August seems quite late this year, although beautiful day like this, things will soon start catching up. My rhubarb's up as well. Did I show you my rhubarb? My rhubarb never really died back this year. It did, but you know, it didn't completely, especially down at this end here, that didn't ever completely, you know, go dormant, I suppose you'd call it. But as you can see now, they're all starting to pop up into life. What I am going to try this year, which I've not tried before, those plants were grown from seed about 3 years ago now, is I'm going to try forcing them. Now forcing them means putting them in the dark, so you can use something like one of these Daleks here, put it over the plant, or like I'm going to use this blue barrel. But basically what it will do, the plant will, because it's already growing, it will see that it's not in any light and it will start searching for the light and grow really, really tall, really, really quick. And what you get is really sweet, tender rhubarb off of it. Whereas if you allow it to grow in the sun, it can go quite bitter and quite chewy and stringy. So we shall give that a little go. I have got a big pot of water here with, I can already see mosquito larvae in there. So I'll be best pulling that out anyway. The reason for that is an open container like this with water in it allows the mosquitoes to get into it really easily, to lay their eggs and to breed. So obviously open water containers on the allotment are usually a very bad idea. Things like your water butts, keep them covered, things like this, keep them covered. Another thing as well is that a lot of the time animals, larger animals, birds, mammals, rodents will try and get in there for a drink, can't get out and die, so you know that can be another side effect. So with something like that, either put a solid lid on it or, you know, a really fine mesh, something to keep the mosquitoes out and that sort of thing, because another thing is you don't want them flying around too much, buzzing and biting. I suffer quite badly with biting insects, I'll be honest. Get out of here! So now I've got my barrel, I'm going to force one of these rhubarb plants. And they call it forcing because it is depriving the plant of what it wants, forcing it to grow quickly. So that's what we should do. You don't want to force your plants too often or every single year, because it does weaken them as well. It you know, makes them use a lot of energy to do what it does. And then once it's used all that energy, you then harvest the leaves off and it has to start all over again. So it can be quite, you know, it can be quite detrimental, I suppose is the word. Detriment. So we've got a little experiment to do then. We've got one rhubarb plant and another rhubarb plant. One of them, they're both at pretty much the same stage. One of them I'm going to cover over and forcing it to grow quickly, giving us some tender stems. The other one I'm not going to. And we'll have a look at them in a week and then 2 weeks and so on and see how they look. Barrel upside down. Over the plant. Somewhat heavy on top. I'd sit on it, but I can't stay here all week. And we'll have a look at that rhubarb forcing. It's so interesting, it's awesome. Wow. Looks fairly ugly though. I think you can actually buy terracotta forcing pots, can't you? You know, for the rich and famous. I'm going to use a blue barrel. There it is. Right, this is the bed that I've selected for some onions this year. It's relatively weed free, it's been dug over last year. What I am going to do though is just to get the onions away is I'm just going to put a little bit of compost in there just to help enrich the soil. I'm also going to use some of my trusty bloodfish and bone as well, which sort of like this powdered feed here. Put my finger in pigeon poo. Pigeon poo. We'll be back. Some animals. Right. After that bombshell, I'm just going to get cracking on. I'm going to give it a good application. Bloodfish and bone can be pretty nasty stuff, so wear your gloves like with any fertiliser or compost. It'll also stop you getting pigeon poo on your fingers. There we go, a little bit of mess later. That's now nicely fertilised bed, nicely dug over, and not too many big rocks in it or anything like that, and certainly no weeds. I'm going to mark out some lines, get some onions planted. Oh yeah! You see me using the plank of wood method earlier on. This time I'm going to use the ball of string and a stick. Now, here's my little onions here. A big problem that a lot of growers might have at this point is go, oh, but they're only little, let's put them really, really close together. Obviously little plants grow, you know, some plants, you know, they'll say like 2 foot spacings for a courgette or something, and people, that's too far apart, but The more space that you give them, the healthier they're going to be, and you'll probably get more harvest off of one plant given enough room than two plants that are squashed together. So it's the same with these onions as well. I'm going to go 6 inch between plants, and then between rows I want to leave enough room so that I can get my hoe down there for weeding. So that's probably going to be a bit more like 8 to 10 inches. Okay. You can see they're planted so that the top of the little set is poking above ground. I'm going to try and copy that as well so that they're not too deep. There we go, and if I work my way along the line now, planting to that piece of string, I know I've got a reasonably straight line. Don't matter, you don't have to have a reasonably straight line, but it does help when it comes to weeding, because, you know, all your plants are in a straight line, so if you run your hoe in a straight line, you're not going to damage any of your plants. Right, I'm going to go find some crunchy music now so that you can listen to that while I time-lapse these bad boys. Okay, well that's 40 onions so far. I've got another 3 trays of them. I was going to say bad boys again, but I said that earlier, didn't I? I'll say it again anyway, bad boys. Me dropping me tray. Flipping hell, it's gone in me blood, bone, fish and guts. I'm so glad you're here to witness my complete and total ineptitude. Right, 40 onions that is so far. I'm not going to bore you with the rest of them, but pretty much the same thing with the red onions, womb, and the shallots, womb. The shallots I leave a lot further out of the soil, it helps them divide. They're not being like compressed or anything like that. These are the shallots that I'm going to put out. Like I said earlier in the greenhouse, these guys divide, they don't grow. I don't know if you can see on this particular one here, he's got 1, 2, 3, 4 stems coming out of him. So that guy will divide into 4 shallots, which is absolutely delightful. I've got some of these that will divide into 3, some 5s. So we'll get those into the ground now and we'll watch those grow away. Tell you what, since not having a cup of tea on my plot in 4 years to sort of this winter, I've definitely changed. I'm sort of a 2 or 3 cup of coffee guy per visit now. So, yes, amazing what old age does to us. And that's my mug, you like that? It was brought to me, it's absolutely beautiful, isn't it? Lovely. Right, we're going to boil up anyway, have a cup of tea, and then we'll move on. Got so much to do today, you know. There's sort of a mild, slight hysteria about it. So much to do. Oh dear. Back at, obviously I'm working now, because last year lost my job through all of this COVID nonsense, so got another job just before Christmas. I've been working really hard at that, really enjoying it. It's a sales job. I'm selling machinery parts for a recycling company, so you know that's right up my street. So yeah, I've not done many updates recently actually. What with working and all the rest of it as well. I've got a significant other in my life as well, so that's taken up a lot of time. You've got to try and be all charming and attentive at the start, haven't you, before you let them in for the biggest letdown of their lives. Only joking. So yeah, there's that. So yeah, between, you know, work, life, lockdown and all the rest of it, it's been quite difficult for me to get down and get stuck in. It's quite nice over winter though, not to have to panic too much about it. I say winter, spring. Woo. You know, you can just sort of get on with your life, and you know, the allotment can take a back seat because it is so demanding the rest of the year, isn't it? You know, as soon as the weeds start to grow really right through till sort of October, November, it's just like, I will demand, you know, 18 to 20 hours a week of your life, you know, if you want to get anything out of me. And if you've got greenhouses and watering and all the rest of it, that just adds to it. Everybody else is like, oh, isn't the weather wonderful? And I'm just like, I've got to go water my plants. You sort of get there at the end of the day and you're like, oh God, is there going to be like, you know, droopy tomatoes everywhere? And holidays as well. People always want you to go on holiday during the hottest time. It's like, oh, let's have 2 weeks in the sun. And I'm like, I'm not leaving my allotment for 2 weeks. What will I come back to? So, you know, that's sort of a compromise. You know, I think I can do 4 or 5 nights camping trip or something. I'm procrastinating and waffling and all the rest of it. I'm going to have this cup of tea and I'm going to crack on, get some more work done, because you don't want to hear me waffle about absolutely nonsensical nonsense. My teaspoon, it's all covered in compost. No, don't eat compost, very bad for you. Wear gloves when handling compost. The train's rattling past again. I say a train, it's a tram. I'm on the main sort of Nottingham to Hucknall line here. Oh. It's nice actually this year, there's quite a lot of life around the plots, a lot more people sort of picking up plots since the council came and did a bit of work. I think a lot of it's down to a couple of plot holders down here actually. They really got into the community spirit, you know, sort of got the council involved, got like, you know, things really kicking, got a lot of interest in the empty plots. I don't know if it's, I think it's quite an allotment thing, you know, a lot of people say, oh my goodness, there's so many long waiting lists and yet so many empty plots. I think it's just, you know, with the, I wouldn't say badly managed, but with the council plots, I think a lot of the time people will sign up for them, the council give them a free year to get it up to speed, but then if, you know, they sort of lose interest or they don't turn up, it takes a full year then until the bills are sent out and nobody notices that the plots aren't actually being used. So you can end up with a site with nobody on it that technically, according to the council's full. So, you know, it's one of those, a lot of people sign up, and I think it's important if you sign up for a plot and you don't want to use it, tell the council, ring them up, say, look, you know, I give up, put it back on the waiting list, let somebody else have it. Otherwise, you know, if you think, oh, I might get started, I might go and do it, you know, with no intention of doing so, it's, you know, it's quite bad because it makes them waiting lists really, really long. A lot of the time it's worth going down to your local allotment site, having a word with people. You know, if somebody came talk to me, I'd be like, yeah, that plot's free, because you've got a bit more knowledge about it, and, you know, maybe then they can contact the council and say, I know this one, or can we contact the person who's meant to have it, you know, find out if they're actually going to use it, try and get them waiting list down. Because I think grow your own, a lot of people are really up on it at the minute. I went into Wilco's a couple of days ago. I've never seen so many people looking at seeds and potatoes and onions and all the rest of it. Everybody's, from back gardens to allotments to, you know, a few pots on your balcony, everybody's getting in on it, and that's absolutely brilliant. I think it's a lockdown COVID thing that sort of triggered it, what with the threat of increasing food prices and shortages and all the rest of it, but I think really people have been looking for something to do while they're in lockdown that doesn't involve, you know, sort of, you know, going out and partying. So yeah, it's a good thing, it's a very good thing. Okay guys, so I've done quite a lot of work today. The sun's completely set now. I'm really tired, and I've changed my mindset now. I always get into this frame of mind. I think, oh my goshness, oh my goshness, oh my goshness, I'm behind. But, you know, I've come down here, I've done a great bit of day's work. You know, I've got, like, you know, a few beds weeded, I've got me garlic out, I've got me onions out, and it's completely changed my mindset anyway. I'm feeling a lot more positive about where I am. Yeah, I think compared to previous years, I'm about the same, actually. I think I was not doing anything. I sort of, you know, you start to sort of worry a little bit. So just coming down, doing a little bit, you know, it actually gets you in the right frame of mind. I say there's a lot of people that will be ahead of you, there's a lot of people that will be behind you. You know, I've seen a lot of people down London and down south putting their potatoes in. It's way too early for me to be putting my potatoes in, so I shan't bother with that yet. And the same with, like, you know, plants on windowsills and everything like that. There's a lot of leggy seedlings out there. It's each to their own. I remember my first year, you know, I got really excited and I wanted to plant everything, and that was, you know, brilliant, and I learnt a lot of lessons. So you know, just do what you want to do, you know, learn your own lessons and learn from your own mistakes. Everybody's different, you know, you can live in the same city as somebody and have a different climate, you know, if you're a little bit higher or a little bit lower. So yeah, everything's different. I'm not at a point where I've sowed any seeds really. I've done a few peppers at home. I've not done anything else. I've not done any brassicas, I've not done any tomatoes or anything like that. It's all, you know, yet to come. So I will, you know, crack on and get them done, but, you know, taking it easy. It's a hobby, it's fun, and yeah, the plot is ready. At least that's one thing. I'm not sitting there thinking, oh, I've got to get my ground ready. So, you know, the plot's ready. As soon as I'm ready, which will be next weekend, I'll get all of my seeds in, and then by, you know, end of April, May time, I'll have some nice greenhouses full of plants. Anyway, right, I'm rambling on. I'm going to go home and get me tea. All the birds are singing. Just tell me to shut up so that they can go to bed. I'll see you all soon. I'll see you all later. Bye bye.